And welcome to another edition of the Counseling Experience. And we are technologically sound, ready to go. And thank you so much for tuning in. This is Doc Matt Eschler with the Dixie State University. And I'm trying to get my wife's attention so that she'll shut the light off in the room because it's like unearthly bright in here. And there we go. And as we bring you today the show, as you can see, maybe if you are on Facebook Live, you can see we're going to talk about honeymoon for life. Now, I want you to think about for that whole concept of honeymoon for life, right? Who knows what a honeymoon is? What is a honeymoon? And most of you got it. It's like right after you get married, you go away on a honeymoon for a little while, right? Everybody remembers doing that. Well, everybody that went on a honeymoon remembers doing that. It was like almost a pivotal point in your life where you are now heading off into the sunset for a happily ever after life. And how many of you have done a second honeymoon or a third or a fourth with your spouse? And we're going to talk about that. I wonder why. I never thought of it until I was reading this guru of marital relationships, somebody that has done a ton of research and has pointed out the fact that we do this fresh start to life. We literally say to ourselves something to the effect of take some time alone together and really get this relationship off to a good start. And, I think what I would point out is that many of us do that very thing. We kick off a marital relationship to a really good start, and then we believe that it's going to coast right on through to the finish line just as happy as we hit the honeymoon. How many of you know someone out there that the juice of the relationship, the love of the relationship, that all that stuff, that wonderful stuff that is at the beginning of every relationship, how many of you know a couple that it screeched to a halt, became the most painful of relationships? Probably not much out there more painful than a relationship on the rocks. If you've ever fought with your spouse or if you've ever been in a terrible position with your spouse as far as with arguments or seeing the world from different viewpoints and you start this fight or this bickering with each other, and it's no longer that bliss that you organized on your honeymoon. How many of you know a relationship that is in this coast, if you will, through fight after fight after fight, and the relationship literally becomes who won the last fight type relationship? Like I won this fight and maybe I won the last one, so I know my wife's going to bring out the big guns and she's got to win the next couple of fights. So I gear up and I'm ready. And so she does sneak a couple under me and she wins a few. And then now I've got to win because it's getting a little bit imbalanced. And you're in this constant state of trying to balance the relationship so that you can stay even or fair, equal. Well, no one wants that kind of relationship. No one is starting their marital bliss with the idea that, in about 6 months to a year, we'll kind of settle into knowing each other pretty well. And, oh, gosh, a year after that, we'll finish each other's sentences. And maybe 2 years after that, we're basically going to be roommates and not talk very much at all. And then we'll throw some kids into the mix and we'll raise those things together and, try to discipline together. And one of you will go off to work and the other one will make sure the kids stay in school and get a breakfast and dinner, in them. And the whole idea is that you literally stop taking time alone to reconnect or connect again and build the juicy strengthening part of the relationship. Well, we're going to talk about how to pull that off. And summer is really a good opportunity. Summer is a good opportunity to get out there, maybe take a summer vacation, maybe spend a little bit extra time increasing the juice of your date nights and things such as that. We're going to talk about that. Now, I also want to hit last week. Last week we spoke about this this idea that there's a literal adversary trying to destroy relationships. And when I say a literal adversary, I believe it is an adversary that is bound and determined to tear families apart. and it's a real being. It's a real entity. Some of you call it the devil, the Satan of the world. Some of you call it all different kinds of things. And what I would just like to say is that there is an adversary to marriage and family relationships that is rampant and real, and I believe increasing in intensity as these years go by. I've watched families come into counseling now for 30 years. And I've watched the families that come in go from pretty big problems to massive problems that are bringing them in. Massive secrecy, massive hiding of bad doings and crummy things that they've tried to get away with and hid from each other. The lack of transparency, the lack of integrity, the lack of honesty, the lack of really building on principle inside of relationships is just getting bigger. And it might be that there's way more available out there for people to get themselves into trouble with. It might be that with the onset of this massive social media empire that is pumping everything from distractors, time wasters, pornography, all of that's being shoved right into our living rooms at warp speed. We might just have more available to destroy ourselves with. That being said, there's some things that we can do. We can actually even harness some of that social media to help build the relationship. And last week we spoke about how there is a good and an evil out there that is really pulling for your attention. There's principles that are always available because they're principles of this world. They're not negotiable any more than gravity is negotiable. Like, have you ever stepped off of a building and as you're falling towards the sidewalk, negotiated with gravity to soften your fall or to slow your descent? Well, you know, just inherently that doesn't work. We don't negotiate with gravity. We respect gravity. Well, there's principles of marriage such as service, transparency, unconditional love, honesty. These are principles of a marriage, and the more you engage in the keeping of principles, the more blessed and the more privileged and the more juicy fun, the more sexy, intimate your relationship will be. And the more we bust and break with principles, the more cursed, the more danger, damage, pain, heartache we will experience inside of our relationships. And so literally there's these two polarizing forces. One of them's pulling for our attention to honor the principles, and the other one's pulling for our attention to dishonor them and break them. And there's laughter and ridicule over there, and there's joy and peace over here. What I'm challenging you to do is to really harness the principles of relationship and build a juicy, fun, intimate relationship. And last week we spoke about some techniques to do that, and I challenged you all to use social media to build your relationship. Use social media to invest. One of the biggest right now, this decade, one of the biggest relationship busters that I deal with, and now this has all kinds of tentacles to it, but it's time-starved. Most of the people that I talk to, if not all, have stopped doing all of the self-care, all of the relationship care necessary to keep a relationship alive. It's like you go out and you buy a goldfish. How many of you have ever bought a goldfish for your kid and you just kind of think it's all going well, and then the fish dies and you realize the kid didn't feed the goldfish consistent enough and the fish died? I know that's a terrible example, but the idea is if you buy something and you don't take care of it, or if you are growing something, a plant or the grass, and you don't nurture, water, give it all the things that it needs to stay alive, it dies. Well, marriage is just like that. Marriage is just like that. If you don't give your marriage the stuff that it needs, if you don't give it time and investment, it is going to die. And it's a slow, painful death. And it is literally a painful death. Any of you that have been in places that I've been in can understand that you can create pain inside of a relationship, both for you through self-inflicted pain to yourself and through victimizing your spouse with your naughty behavior and what have you. There's all types of ways that you can inflict enough pain that you literally kill a relationship. So the idea behind investing in your relationship is admitting that it needs time. Now, how many of you have extra time right now on your hands? How many of you have given up slowly self-care? How many of you started January 1st, 2018, for example, and you said, I'm going to go to the gym every day. And they said, wait a minute, not every day. I always fell at that 4 days a week. I'm going to read my scriptures every morning for half an hour. I am going to do couples prayer and individual prayer and meditation night and day. And I'm going to take a half a day off every 3 weeks just to go out and play golf and rejuvenate. I'm going to play more with my kids on Saturday. And how many of you by February had pretty much given up on all the self-care? And then by about March, April, had given up on all of the relationship care because you just don't have time. 2 reasons why people do this. Reason number 1 is they procrastinate and they don't plan well. And so time just gets lost. Those of you that procrastinate and you don't plan well, look at Facebook and you plan on getting on Facebook for 3 minutes and you're lost in Facebook hell for like 3 hours. And you leave Facebook completely frustrated and bugged at how silly people can be, but then you were there for 3 hours. Some of you took food while you were there and took pictures of it and showed us. I know you. Every now and again I'll see that. So the idea behind this whole Facebook trifecta of pain is you lose that 3 hours and you're never going to get it back, and you didn't serve anyone in that time. So my suggestion is that in this procrastination and not well-planned world, we can get lost in the computer, we can get lost in Facebook, lost in our emails, and just literally shoot time down the toilet until it's just no longer available for us. And so the idea behind that, and then the other side of this coin is the people that just say yes to everything. They don't tell people no. They say to themselves things like, well, I've got a date night this Friday, but my wife will understand, and so I'll say yes, I'll work late for someone. We need the extra money. Or I'm going to have to say yes because the ladies are all getting together to do this little service project, and so I'll tell my husband we can't do date night this week, or we've got these kids that are high maintenance, so we can't possibly go out for 3 hours. I hear so many people blame their kids for not dating, by the way. Most of you that blame your kids for not dating had parents that dated, and you did just fine home alone without a cell phone to call them and bug them. So I suggest let your kids self-destruct for 4 hours and go out on a date. And I know it's easy for me to say my kids are all grown and gone, but I'm telling you, we left our kids. They self-destructed at times, and we was able to patch the walls and bandage them up, and they did just fine. They're all adults off making their own way, and they're doing just fine for the wear and tear. So the idea behind saying yes to everything and forgetting to take care of your relationship, you're just going to end up in pain, and I challenge you not to do that. Gave you a challenge to use one little tiny segment of social media like texting to do 6 things a day. And I wonder how many of you did it. How many of you remember the challenge? I'm going to go back to last week's show, and what we talked about is every single day, share a funny story with your spouse. Just text them a cute little funny story about what was going on. Share one disappointment that you had during your day, something that just didn't go quite right. Get a little empathy. Share one hot memory that you have, like something triggered a memory of some vacation you took, of some, for example, I've got one particular client, and I forgot to text this to my wife in for the first time today, and reminded me of a guy we saw on a particular island a number of years ago where my wife and I ended up on an island filled with naughty people. And one of these men that came into my office resembled a certain man that my wife saw more of him than she wanted to. And it was just kind of funny because I kept picturing that. And that is not a good thing to picture when you're trying to be serious. And so if I would have texted that to her with a picture, that would have been kind of fun. So the idea is really send a funny story, send a hot story, send some memory from the past that'll give a little tingle, a little juice to your relationship. Share one big feeling. If you had a feeling about something, if you had a feeling of fear, a feeling of happy, joy, scared, mad, sad, whatever it is, get in the habit of sharing a feeling. Now, for those of you that need a little bit of coaching on feelings, I'll hit that just really quick. So I think I'll go to Walmart tonight. See, that's not a feeling. Hey, how you feeling? Well, I feel like going to Walmart. So you can't feel like going to Walmart. You can feel sad. that you don't have milk and think that going to Walmart will solve that, you can feel happy. And I've got an extra $3. I think I'll go to Walmart and spend it. I feel lonely. And when I go to Walmart, I can get my home teaching done and see most of my friends on a Friday night. Half of Hurricane does date night at Walmart, I think, because we see half a Hurricane there. We saw Coach Prince there 4 times the last 4 times we went there. That might be a bit of an oddity that I need to talk with him about. The idea is we want to share real feelings, not thoughts disguised as feelings, and get in the habit of doing that with your lover. At each crossroads of the day, like if I'm at the office and I'm heading over to a meeting at this intensive outpatient setting, just quick check in. Hey, I'm running over to the IOP. I'll check in with you when I'm done and heading home. Just a little play-by-play. And it's not because we're codependent, not because we're enmeshed, not because we don't have anything better to do, but it's because we want to be thinking about each other, our hearts and minds turning towards each other throughout the day. How about offer some service? Hey, I'm on my way home. We'll be passing by Smith's. Do you want me to grab something? Or, hey, we're going out on a date tonight. Do you need me to pick up any gift certificates or anything for the babysitter? I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do, but just those things you can do via text that'll keep you connected, keep you happy, keep the juice flowing in the relationship. So we understand that that's important. We understand that keeping yourselves engaged is really important. Now, one of the things that we led with, this is, by the way, Dr. Matt Eschler with a Southern Utah counseling experience coming to you live on Facebook as well as at Dixie State University on the campus channel 100.3. I'm really happy to be here, really happy to be able to come to you live each week. So I want to toss this to you. I want to toss this out to you that we go on these honeymoons, right? We go on these honeymoons at the beginning of a marriage, and literally they are taking some time alone together in a romantic spot with some really juicy, fun activities to get your relationship off to a good start. That's a honeymoon. You pick the spot wisely. My wife and I went to the happiest place on earth as well as a number of hotels and really enjoyed the heck out of our honeymoon. And the idea behind that, it was to kick off the relationship as a couple. We leave our parents behind. We leave our friends behind. I didn't take the softball team with me. She didn't bring all of her Relief Society ladies with her. And the two of us went off alone together in a car. Yes, she let me drive. It was awesome. And we came home and then we went to work. Now, the problem is many of us will do this honeymoon and then we forget to carry out and carry on. We forget to continue the connecting. We really literally think that we did a courtship, got engaged, got married, and that's it. The rest is history. It's happily ever after. Both of us will just stay madly in love. And divorce isn't an option because we believe too strongly in the sanctity of this covenant that we've made with each other. The problem with all that is, it's all good and it's all wonderful. The problem with all that is that if you don't feed the relationship, it is going to die. And so here we are, 8 years into the marriage. My wife and I, in about 2 weeks, will be 30 years into our marriage. If we did not take time to reconnect, if we did not take time to go to a pleasurable place for a little bit of romance, just the two of us, our relationship would have slowly dwindled to a roommate experience and then to a keep track of who won the last fight experience, and then either stay together miserable or kill the relationship, which is what the adversary would like to do. The adversary would like to destroy the family, kill the relationship, all kinds of traps and all kinds of setups to do that. What we hope to do is teach some things today about reconnecting. So if you would take this just number one suggestion, and I understand money's involved. I understand. I'm saying this from a place of like, I hope that you all can figure out a way to afford this or use some creative strategies. Like, for example, do you all remember back in the day when timeshares were huge and literally at every store you'd fill out these little cards and they'd give you an overnight stay somewhere? Well, Chris and I was able to find 14 overnight stays in Florida and the Bahamas, and we signed up for all of them, and we had all of them. All we had to do is about every 2 days sit in a 2-hour seminar, miserable, horrible thing where we learned about the veracity and the merits of this particular timeshare, And then we had to withstand the berating of a salesman that told us that we were needing to buy their timeshare since we sat through the free seminar and got the free night stay. And we would withstand all. In fact, one of these salespersons told us we were fake people because we were just trying to get the free night stay. And I said, well, you offered it. I never told you I'd buy a timeshare. You offered it. I took it. And so we stayed for 14 days in Florida nearly for free because they'd feed us a meal and lecture us, and then we'd get the rest of the time to just go play. So you can do things that are a little bit unique if you have to. You can create a budget. Some people call it a budget. I've always called it an intimate spending plan, and save up and go on a vacation. So do a honeymoon at least once a year. All of you moms and dads out there with high maintenance kids, I'm telling you, I kind of don't care how high maintenance your kids are. Leave them home with someone and go out on a honeymoon every year. Reconnect. Your kids will gain some respect for you and knowing that you're building the relationship throughout their lifespan. And there's got to be someone that can take care of your little kids without killing them. If not, there's something wrong. You need to come and see me. By the way, Doc Matt Eschler at Southern Utah Counseling Experience. We have merged with St. George Center for Families. You can give us a call at 435-688-1111. And you can sign up for show topics. You can give us ideas. You can give compliments about the show. If you have really good critical feedback to make the show better, great. If you just want to, make a crude remark, don't bother. And there you have it, 688-1111. Doc Matt Eschler with a counseling experience. Again, we have merged with St. George Center for Families, St. George Center for Couples and Families. Go to the website, stgeorgefamilies.com. So we've talked about honeymoons. We've talked about honeymoons being the way that we start our relationships, get them off on the right foot. Part 2 to this is literally uninterrupted time. So let's just pretend for a second. You get yourself out on a honeymoon or out on a vacation, your third honeymoon, your year 3 anniversary, and you're gone for a week. Hold on one second. Let's say that during that week, you answer your phone every 4 minutes. Your wife or husband or your spouse answers their phone every 8 to 10 minutes. You catch up on a couple of words with friends, games. You look at Facebook and check in with all of your peeps that are scattered around the world. You do a couple of posts an hour. You take pictures of your food. You put it on the internet. You get on Instagram, and you post motivational, inspirational, romantic thoughts about holding hands, walking on the beach. Notice all of those beach pictures where couples are holding their hands romantically and walking down the beach ankle deep in water. Notice none of them are posting food pictures on Instagram, right? They don't have phones. All of the romantic pictures are not of a couple sitting at the dinner table, looking at their phone, texting another person to bring them into the relationship. Those romantic pictures that you're posting are a couple with no phone, no computer, no technology whatsoever. They're totally focused on each other, holding hands, loving the feel of sweat that's passing between their fingers, at the little crevice of your fingers, and they're enjoying each other's company without distraction. So that's my challenge. Become an Instagram picture. Leave your technology at home. Bring a burner phone if you have to. Yes, half of you have burner phones out there. I get it. Bring one of those that no one has the number to except one trusted person that if you've got a child bleeding from an arterial valve in their heart, they can call you. Other than that, if it's a broken arm, just get the arm set. We'll pay for it when we get home. If they sprain an ankle, we don't need to hear about it. If they won't eat their dinner and they'll only eat dessert, I don't care. So only check in and only give that burner phone number to someone that you absolutely trust to shield you from everything except for the life and death stuff. Okay? That's what I want you to take. I want you to leave everything else home. I want you to just see if you can go 7 days without everyone checking in, because all of you have way too many people checking in, and all of you have these lives that are so packed and crammed with stuff that you have starved your relationship down to zero. This is your opportunity to unstarve. This is the opportunity to invest in and feed your relationship. So go on a vacation every year. go on a vacation every year and leave the distractions at home, reconnect with each other, find that juicy, passionate relationship that all of you want to have, and feed it. The second thing I'd challenge you to do is relax together. So Chris and I have this blessing right now. We have this place where we can go, which I will not tell you where it's at. Now, I know the person that is giving us this opportunity would love the free advertising, but I'm not going to tell you where it's at. I'm not going to tell you where we hide, because this is a place where we can literally go for 2 hours in the middle of the day. No one knows who we are there. No one talks to us. Everybody basically ignores us because we're just another set of bodies there. And we can just relax. We can take a plunge into something that I shall not name. We can chew on things that I shall not tell you what. And I'm not giving you any identifying data as to the place that we hide, because this is our secret little place. And this is a place where we can disappear and really relax. So I want to challenge you to find your safe place, your place where you can relax, where no one can bother you. And it shouldn't be the bathroom. Okay, it should be some place that is just, it's kind of your place. It's a place where you can go and relax. It's a place where you can escape all of the stressors and pressures just for an hour and literally practice focusing on your lover. Literally practice focusing on just the relationship. I challenge you to not have your phone in that place. Take a couple hours with no technology. That strikes fear in some of your hearts, but I promise you, you can Instagram stuff after. You can text everyone back after. You know, it wasn't that many years ago, 1984, when they came out with these really, really, really nice answering machines for our phones. Now, they came out a few years earlier with some really terrible ones, and we started down this road. We started down this road of leaving messages for each other. You know, prior to this, in the 70s, some of you will remember this, some of you won't, but in the 70s and the late 70s, maybe even early 80s here in southern Utah, because we're a small town, we got technology last. When you called someone, you would get a busy signal. It would go bzz, 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 bzz. And that meant they were on the phone. Or you would get a ring. Bring, 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 bring. I do a terrible ring, but it would ring and ring and ring and ring, and then you'd say, nobody's home. Or you'd get a busy signal. Oh, they're talking to somebody else. One person's talking with one other person. There wasn't such a thing as call waiting. There wasn't such a thing as call forwarding, answering machines, texting, Instagramming, Facebooking, live booking, all of that. None of that was available, and so life was really easy. Then they came up with answering machines. And there was our first distraction after microwaves. Answering machines was the first one. Answering machines came along, and we decided, oh, my word, there is a message on my answering machine. Sometime in the next couple of days, I'm going to have to respond to that person. We would give people 4 days. I remember leaving messages on Sunday thinking, okay, by Thursday they'll call me back. No big deal. But see, it gave us the opportunity to call someone, leave a message, and then leave them alone till they called us. So it might have been good, except for we kept getting better and better. And now we are in 2018, where 4 days is unheard of. If you wait 4 days to respond, everything's changed. You've got about 11 seconds before people feel ignored. 11 seconds used to be 4 days, just 30 years ago. Now it's 4 seconds to when you feel ignored, 11 seconds, and if you wait 4 minutes, you're rude. Well, when you're taking these breaks and relaxing, if you have to leave a message that automatically responds, I am relaxing for 60 minutes. I'm relaxing for 120 minutes. You will not hear from me. Start training people that when you're relaxing, or when you're eating family dinner, or when you're winding down for the day and not responding, and then literally put technology away and really take a moment and relax with your lover and become more passionate, get more juice, have more fun, have more relaxed time in your relationship. Now, in order to do this, you have to disappoint people, and that goes against the grain for some of you. Some of you will not want to disappoint people, so some of you will, you'll just say, I can't do it. I've got to respond immediately because I don't want to disappoint. Well, what about your marriage? What if you disappoint your marriage to the point of killing it? Well, that's no good. So that's my challenge. My challenge is to reconnect and find a honeymoon destination every year. Leave the kids, leave the pets, leave your family, leave your dads, moms, leave everybody behind. Go with your lover and get away for a week. And then every day, relax at some point together. Take some time, turn all the technology off. The third thing I want to emphasize is the word plan. Now, planning's not a very sexy thing to talk about all the time. Planning can be a little covey-ish, which some of you got burned out on that. Planning can be something to like maybe you feel like you're getting bound in. You're not having the freedom to just spontaneously do what you want. Well, planning is really necessary in a world that's moving as fast as ours is moving. So many of you are saying yes to so many things that you stop exercising, you stop eating right because you don't have time to make good meals. You stop doing your scripture and prayer study in the morning. You stop meditating. You stop all the stuff that's healthy for you and healthy for your relationship with your wife or husband. If you start doing so much and have your life so busy, I talked with a person, and this is what she said, quite literally. I want you to hear this. She said, I wasn't really that busy, but I just never accomplished enough. And so I said, well, tell me about your day yesterday. Well, I got up a little early because I had to clean the bathrooms, and so I got those cleaned, and then I got breakfast and had the kids eat breakfast and try to give them a little bit of a healthy breakfast. And so I cooked some eggs and pancakes and not just throwing cereal on the table. And so that took a little longer. And then after that, I had to take 2 of them to school, and one of them I had that was on half day or something for that morning. And so went back home and got that one up and ready to go to soccer practice, took that one to soccer practice. Then I needed to go back over to the school because I was the home mom for one of the rooms. And then after that, was able to get lunch and realized that I needed to take lunch to my half-day student because we didn't send it. And so I went and made lunch and took it back over to the school and made sure that he had a good little lunch. And then did laundry and finished cleaning the downstairs, as breezeway she called it, and got all the tumbleweeds swept out of that. And by now I'm tired, right? And then she said, I did some journaling because I want to write a book. And so I did about an hour of journaling, and that was interesting because I was able to do some genealogy while I journaled and looked up some stuff on Family Search and found some pictures. And then after that, I was able to meet my husband and talk about some of the things that we needed to get done before we went on a family soccer trip, and then went to CrossFit and did some CrossFit work. And then after that, and I'm thinking, okay, she did all of this by 4 o'clock, and that's literally 2 days worth of stuff. And she had a list that she would have kept going. And then she kept remembering things that she forgot to say. So the idea is that this person's not planning. This person's literally just saying yes to everything. Yes to everything. And so if laundry needs to, it's yes, I'll do the laundry. Yes, I'll clean the bathrooms. Yes, I'll make a good breakfast. Yes, I'll be the home mom. Yes, I will do genealogy. Yes, I will be the person that is, just yes to everything. So literally take your schedule, become an estimator where you estimate how long things are going to take, and give everything a home on your schedule, including self-care. And if you're willing to plan that well, then you go on a vacation, you need to plan there too. Now, you can plan spontaneity. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you can say on Saturday for my vacation, what I want to do is plan nothing and just float through the day. That's okay. But don't sign up for work then. Shut your work off. Take a burner phone that nobody knows the number to except for the person that's going to watch the kids, and instruct them that you'll give them a bonus if they only call you on death-defying experience phone calls. You don't want anything, you don't care if they break their arm, because if they break their arm, it's just going to get set, though they can get the arm set with or without you there. And I know some of you are thinking right now that, well, what if it's his first broken bone and he won't know how the cast is supposed to fit? The doctor knows how the cast is going to fit. You don't need to go help the doctor set the cast. Just get the bone set. You'll see the kid when you get home. This is not heartless. This is just how important it is to have a vacation, to have a relationship that has some time where you feed the relationship. And you can find any excuse to not vacation. Like you can use money as an excuse. There's ways to do free vacations. There's mini vacations. There's daytime datation, day dates. Heavens, in high school, half of you did day dates where you'd be gone the whole day with someone and spend very little money and then come back in the evening, sleep in your own rooms. That's okay too. The point is you've got to feed the relationship. So planning needs to happen. If you don't plan, they just won't happen because the world will crowd you out. Now, here's the fourth one. Some of you go on vacations and fight. Some of you have different ideas. Like, you ever went to Disneyland and you notice there's two kinds of personalities? Literally. I know there's a million, but there's two personalities. Luckily, my wife and I have the same personality. We are both fast pass personalities. So what you do is you hit Disneyland and you grab the fast passes that you can, and then you go sit on a boring ride, and then you wait till your fast pass comes active, and then you jump on the ride quick. And then you get more fast passes. And so the idea is you get a fast pass each ride that you take so that you can get the next one quicker. And we literally can get through the park a couple of times. Now there's that personality. Then there's the personality. I don't like to do the fast pass. I just like to wander and just get on a ride when I feel like it. Both of these attitudes are okay. The wander and jump on a ride when you feel like it, and the fast pass. In fact, you probably both get through the park about the same speed. You're just different. Now, what happens when a fast pass person is married to a nonchalant wander person? Well, they can fight. So what I want to challenge you to do is really emphasize accepting influence. See, most often, there's a million ways to get the job done, and no one way is better than the other. It's all based upon the personality of the person. And so if you're willing to accept influence, if you're willing to not squabble to win, if you're willing to not stand on your side and lob shots at the other side in order to capture that flag and win the battle, if you're willing to climb down into the valley and negotiate a peace treaty and say, well, let's talk about all the different ways that we can get this done, and let's choose one that we both like. Have you ever negotiated around dinner? Like, somebody wants pizza and somebody wants a milkshake. Well, if somebody wants, let's use it. If somebody wants a cheeseburger and somebody wants a milkshake, you don't negotiate raw meat with milk, blend it up, and drink it. Have you ever thought about that? Hey, let's both compromise. I'll get half of what I want. You get half of what you want. So my half is milk. Your half is raw hamburger. We'll blend that up. That's a good compromise. You drink yours. I'll drink mine. We're both happy. Well, that basically, it's a drink that neither of you want. So rather than compromise, how about look at the millions of options? There's buffalo wings. There's pizza. There's paninos, there's sushi. And so let's say we both decide, you know what, wanted a cheeseburger and I wanted a milkshake, but sushi sounds good with a mineral water. And you both say, yeah, that sounds good. Now you both get something that you both want. That's accepting influence. Or you can just fight. You can fight over, I want to go to fast food. I want to go to Painted Pony. We don't have money for Painted Pony. Well, you always want fast food and it makes me fat and I don't like that. Well, you always want the expensive places and they don't have big enough portions and it's terrible. And so you can fight back and forth and you can both justify your fight. You can both justify that you're right. But why would you do that and ruin a good date night? Just do some third thing that you both think is juicy fun. So accepting influence is important. The reason I call it accept influence is because if I allow my wife to influence me, I won't stand on my position and argue. If I say to myself, she's a pretty smart lady, she knows what she's doing, she knows what she wants, and she cares enough about me to not like choose something horrible for me. And so we'll talk with her. And if she trusts me and if she loves me and if she says he's a pretty smart guy and I want to listen to him and hear him out, and maybe he's got some good ideas. And then next thing you know, we're both talking about what's a good option that we both like, and we'll find it. It's when two people get stuck on their positions and they lob shots at each other in trying to be right and win the last fight that it gets damaging. So accept influence. And then the final thing on these vacation ideas, this idea about taking some time out and feed your relationship, is to be willing to yield. So there's this motivational interviewing blueprint that Percheska and Miller has written. There's some other authors in there as well. The idea behind this this idea that motivational interviewing teaches is roll with resistance. Aikido has a whole fight term that has to do with yield to win. See, you can yield and still win. You can both win by rolling with resistance. And it's literally not allowing someone confronting you to get you to do the natural, normal confront back. I went on an LDS mission. It's been 32, 33 years ago, and I had this companion that surprised me. He was a big Idaho farm boy kid, and he was a wrestler, and he was like all-state, probably would have won world wrestling against Hulk Hogan and all that. The guy was huge. And he was fast and strong, and I know a little bit about him. I know he could have took most anybody down in that whole country of New Zealand. You know, there were some big boys there too. The idea though is that he wasn't to be pushed around, and this person came to a door and was just yelling at him. And I say him because I was this little guy. I was from Idaho too. I was from St. George, but like formerly Idaho, and so this two little Idaho boys. I barely came up to his like bicep. And so I don't think the person even seen me standing there by him. I was kind of standing behind his tricep, hiding a little bit. And so he's getting yelled at, and he looks at this person, and he said, "Are you mad at me?" And he had a real sincere look on his face. And the person yelling at him was completely disarmed, like, "Well, yeah." And then he goes, "What have I done to harm you? Because I want to apologize or take it back or something so we can get along. I just have a message to share with you." Again, completely disarmed the person. And I thought to myself, my first thing was, I'm with this big wrestler. We're going to take this dude down. And like, I'll step on his throat, and this other elder will punch him in the gut, and he'll learn a lesson, and he'll never yell at missionaries again. And I'm thinking that I was taught by this big meanie head that, no, you disarm him by rolling with the resistance. He just calmly asks, "Are you mad at me?" And that's what we can do with each other as couples. We can disarm each other by yielding rather than engaging. How easy is that to do? Not real easy, especially if you're stubborn, especially if you've got a lot of pride running you, but it is possible to yield to win. I just noticed on my Facebook Live that I'm drinking out of a BYU cup. So Dixie State University, they let me do this show live, not BYU. And part of what we do is we come to each week with some ideas about how to enhance your relationship skills, your dating skills, how to make your relationships better, juicier, more fun, and more peace-filled and more happy. My name's Dr. Matt Eschler. Doc Matt, you can call me, or just Matt. I come to you live each week. You can give me a call at St. George Center for Couples and Families, 688-1111. The area code for that is 435, so 435-688-1111. And part of what we want you to do is give us some show options, things that you want us to research. Some other things that we'd like you to do is compliment the show, tell us what we do right, give us feedback on what you could have us do better. So that's who we are, Dr. Matt Eschler, coming to you live from Dixie State University, and we'll do this each week. So we've talked about reconnecting to unstarve your relationship, so that many of you have said yes to so many things that you're so busy that you time starve your relationship, and it's killing it. Suggest that you do a honeymoon every year. Every year, get out there on a honeymoon. Every year, take a little bit of time in a romantic place filled with pleasure and reconnect with your spouse. Relax together every day. Find a moment to relax together. Shut the phones off. Shut the world out. Find your little safe place with your spouse and relax. Third thing we talked about is planning. A lot of you don't plan. And so you just kind of react to fires all day long. Accept influence from each other was the fourth thing we spoke about. If you really will think through that lens of accepting influence from each other, you won't argue and fight. You'll negotiate. You'll create a peace treaty and find something that you both want to do, and then yield to resistance. Literally yielding to win. In other words, don't always be the teaching moment brick wall. Take a moment, listen to your spouse. Don't finish their sentence. Don't cut in as soon as you think you know where they're going to go. Don't say things like, "You talk all around the issue, never talk about the issue." Don't say things like that. Really listen. And the whole idea of that is if you yield and really listen, you probably will find common ground that you stand upon together, and you'll be able to find a solution that you both find juicy, passionate, fun. And that's the real. I'm not on radio, but you guys can see me when I poke my tongue out at my wife. And so Facebook Live, just forget that you saw that. And just, again, those 5 things are really important. So the masters of relationships will do those 5 things and many others. The other thing that I want to hit before we close today, again, I totally appreciate you tuning in. It's this idea of understanding each other's blueprint for a loving relationship. So when we were married 30 years ago, I thought literally that the blueprint was I was to be a provider and she was to be a nurturer, and we would live happily ever after. I would go out and make some money and she would make me feel good. And think about that. There's a lot of truth to that being taught. I will go out and make the money and she is supposed to make me feel good. And so when I come home from work, she's supposed to make me feel good. So if I come home and she says something like, hey, dinner was 2 hours ago, my first thought is, well, you didn't just make me feel good. You made me feel guilty. So you were wrong. You can't do that. And she goes, what do you mean I'm wrong? I'm telling you, you're late for dinner. You said you'd be home at 5, at 7. You're late for dinner 2 hours. Dinner's cold. It's not good. And I'm still saying, but wait a minute. Your job's to make me feel good. So when I get here, have hot dinner, not 2 hours before I get here. And if I tell you I'm going to be home at 5 and I'm home at 7, I had a good reason for it. It's because I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for us. I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm doing it to serve. So have hot dinner ready for me. Make me feel good. You can see how that relationship's going to be bumpy. You can see how it's going to be a little bit messy and it's a little bit offensive. So literally you have to really talk. You have to communicate with each other about your blueprint for love. See, my wife said something once. She said, I don't really need a lot of stuff. I don't really need a bigger house. What I need is for you to be home more. And all I was thinking is, well, if I'm home more, I'll make less money. You'll get tired of me faster. And it probably won't turn out happy for me. So I'm not going to do that. So I decided just to operate different. And so our relationship would slowly inch towards not happy and slowly inch towards being a little bit less juicy than it could, slowly inch towards the roommate type situation. And then we'd take a little vacation, get buoyed back up for a bit, and then it would slowly slide. Imagine if the two of us and all of you with your lovers, imagine if you sat down at least once a month, but even better every week, and talked with each other, talk with your spouse, talk with in a really serious way about the blueprint for feeling juicy, passionate love. I'll guarantee you that you will learn stuff about each other. And then I guarantee you that if you keep doing this activity, if you keep asking about the blueprint for juicy, passionate love, you'll find that it evolves over time. It looks different with your first child. It looks different when you have children leaving the home. It looks different when you have another job in another town that you move. See, everything that happens in a relationship causes a chain reaction that changes how we look at other things. And so we need to keep track of each other's blueprint for juicy, fun love. The only way to keep track of it is not assume that you know it, not assume that you can guess what the other person's going to say, not assuming that you're an empath all the way through, that you will always know stuff, but really talk and get to know through asking questions. One of the blueprints, one of the things that really feed into that blueprint of juicy, passionate love. Now, we're going to hit this really hard next week. So I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up, but I'm going to give you an assignment again. Now, you remember the texting the 6 things assignment. Keep doing it. Keep sending juicy, fun texts throughout the day to each other. Keep sharing a big feeling, a cute story, a hot, passionate thought, or a scene. Keep that passion alive by staying connected with each other. This week, I would like you to take an opportunity to plug into your blueprint of juicy, fun love some really clear knowledge and understanding about who the other person is. Now, I think I know my wife pretty well. So I'm going to tell you some of the answers to these questions right now. What I would like you to do is take these 3 questions this week and go ask your spouse to tell you about them. Here's one of them. So, who is your very favorite, what is your favorite secret ambition? Now, a year ago, I might have said my wife's secret ambition is to finish her bachelor's degree. And I might have been wrong. I think right now my wife's secret ambition is to create juicy, passionate, sexy love in her relationship. That's probably her secret ambition. She's thinking of all the different ways that she can be a little bit juicier, a little bit more passionate, a little bit more loving, a little bit more flirty inside of a relationship, because I've noticed some things. I noticed some things that she's doing that's a real turn on, and I'm noticing that she's taken extra care to do them. So there's these things that I think. Now, what I would need to do is ask her and let her tell me and see if I'm right. You might even write down your answer and then ask her the question and see how close you were, to see how well you know each other. It could be a little game, but don't keep score. Some of you would keep score, and you kind of ruin this. So first question is, what is your spouse's favorite secret ambition? Second question that I want you to ask is, what is your very, very, very favorite thing to do with your free time? Okay, you got that one? What is your very favorite thing to do in your free time? Third question, I'm actually going to give you 4. Third question, you ready? If you wake up at 2 a.m, what would you really like to do? And I'm not saying, all of you people my age, it's not go number 1 or number 2. Okay, so anything besides that. What if you wake up 2 a.m, wide awake, what would you really like to do? Number 3. You ready for number 3? What is your partner's favorite childhood experience? Okay. 4 questions. See what you know. Write down the answers that you think your partner will say, and then go ask them and see how close you are. Now, let them tell you start to finish. Don't disagree with them. Don't tell them that they're wrong. Whatever they tell you is their truth, and they're going to just share it with you, and it's going to be awesome. Okay? One of the reasons we do this is part of building these blueprints of juicy, passionate love that we have. Part of building those is to get to know each other. Like, get to know the likes and the dislikes, the dreams, the hopes. Like, do you know your partner's top 5 needs to be happy? Not food, clothing, shelter, but the ones that make you laugh and giggle and smile. Do you know what they are? That'll come next week. We're going to talk next week about these juicy blueprints for loving futures. We're going to talk about those, how to build them, how to keep them alive. Again, this is Dr. Matt Eschler coming to you live from Dixie State University. I'm going to sign out now. We're on Facebook Live. I'll be posting this show and a few others. Way appreciate you tuning in. Way appreciate all of the stuff that you give to me and all of the stuff that you bring to the community. I appreciate that. This is Dr. Matt Eschler, St. George Center for Families. Look us up on stgeorgefamilies.com or give us a call at 435-688-1111. And we will see you in a week.